Assalamu alaikum, brothers. If I may ask you, please, to move to the right side of the musalla, because we're going to have the dividers and the sisters will be on the left side, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan.
Start projecting.
Yeah, I can try with my music. Connects right away.
You want to try your laptop, or you want to try with your laptop? Oh. Can I have the laptop, please? Is it charged enough? بدي بس احطه هنا ما unless you want to shift the table to يا رب. تفضل أخي.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's our immense pleasure today, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen, to have Dr. Man Alqudah with us for the next hour and a half or two, inshallah. Dr. Man has a specialty in finance. He finished his Bachelor's of Commerce and Economics from Al-Azhar University in Egypt. He then did his Master's in Islamic Finance at Yarmouk University in Jordan. And then, mashallah, he finished his PhD at the Islamic Open University here at the US. He is one of the renowned experts on Islamic finance and financial transactions in the US. He has been teaching in this specialty or this field for more than 15 years now, mashallah. He is the president of Guidance College, and he is a member of the resident fatwa committee at the American Muslim Jurists of America. So, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen, our program today will be like a lecture for maybe like an hour or so, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen, until Salatul Isha. And then after Salatul Isha, inshallah, we will be having an open Q&A. And of course, I'm sure that all of us are coming today with some questions, and maybe inshallah, the lecture will make us think about some other questions. So inshallah, we'll be distributing a small piece of paper and a pen so that you write up your questions. And inshallah, after Salatul Isha, we will dedicate some time, inshallah, adequate time to answer your questions about anything related to finance. Jazakumullah khair, inshallah. Back to Dr. Man. Jazakallah khair.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله لا شريك له لا إله إلا هو إليه النشور أمسينا على فطرة الإسلام وكلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين اللهم أنا أمسينا منك في نعمة وعافية وستر فأتم علينا نعمتك وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة اللهم ما أمسى بنا من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك فلك الحمد ولك الشكر يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا حبتي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته طبتم وطاب ممشاكم وتبوأتم من الجنة منزلا بإذن الله. It's my pleasure to be with you here today. I do not remember that I did visit this masjid before, although I travel a lot. So I hope, I pray that inshallah will be the beginning of having a long partnership between Guidance College and your esteemed masjid and community. As you see, the topic Islamic Finance 101. This is actually one of the challenges that we face here in this society, which is how to conduct our finance and our investment and our careers in a Sharia compliant way. We face a lot of challenges here. The job opportunities and the investment opportunities that we have in this society are not as plenty as somewhere else. Yet one of the taxes, if you wish, that we have to pay is to make sure that we comply with the principles of our deen in our muamalat and business transaction and career and an investment, a retirement account, in the same way that we comply with the principles of Islam in our ibadat. So as I always say, ينبغي أن يطاع الله سبحانه وتعالى في المعاملات كما يعبد ويطاع في العبادات. I did khutbah al-Jum'ah today for those who were not here, and told them that it is close to impossible. Well, it is actually impossible to cover everything that we have in mind in 1 or 2 hours presentation. We do have masters in Islamic economics and finance with guidance scholars, the one that I'm representing tonight, for those who want really to have like in-depth knowledge and analysis of the situation and to be expert in this field. You are more than welcome to join Guidance College for Masters in Islamic Economics and Finance. Even if you are not willing to become a degree student, you can be a non-degree student. You can just pick and choose any class that you are interested in. As you see here, Islamic Finance 101, this topic has 3 different components. Islamic Finance 101. Let's just break it down to make sure we're all on the same page, as they say. When you hear the term finance as an industry, regardless whether it is an Islamic or just riba-based one, capitalist, communist, whatever the system might be. As an industry, it means that in every single society, we have a group of individuals or entities or companies who do have extra wealth, extra cash money, that they do not want to keep that money as is. They want to involve that money some way, somehow in a business that brings them extra money. So they want to invest that money. Now, on the other side, we have a group of individuals and entities who are looking forward to get some funding to fulfill their financial need. Someone might like have a plan to, to get married or to go to school, to pay for the tuition fees, or to build a house, or to purchase a house, or to establish a business, or to expand the business, and the list goes actually on and on. So we have a supply and we have a demand. We have money supply and we have demand. Now, in a huge society that has hundreds of thousands of people, if not even millions of people, it's really hard for individuals to communicate directly to fulfill that need, like to find the right person with the right amount of money, to be connected with the right person who is looking for the exact amount of money. So we have to have an intermediator or a third party or a platform or a marketplace, call it whatever you want. Someone who is willing to bring people together and put all these pieces together. In a very technical term, finance actually is broken down to fund mobilization, collecting fund from those people who have extra fund. And we have fund utilization, redistributing that money, giving that money to those who are looking for funding. And fund intermediation, which is the job of the finance institute or the entity or the mortgage company or the bank, or even sometimes the individual who turns his face, taking money from one individual and turn his face to the other side, giving that money to another individual or another entity. So this is actually finance as an institute. Now, every single finance institute, or the vast majority of them in this society in particular, that's exactly actually what they do. They take money from investors, let's say for 5% APR, annual percentage rate, and they give that money to those who are looking for fund for 8% APR, right? 8% APR, and they keep the 3% as their own commission. This is how they make their living, as simple as that. Okay, the only way that those finance institutes can survive is to receive money from investors and to give that money for those who are looking for funding, to borrow money. I want you to remember these terms: to borrow money from investors and to lend money to those who are looking for funding, right? And they keep that difference in between as their commission, as their source of living. When you add to the term finance, Islamic finance, so you are now zooming in and talking about a very specific, very particular system that governs, right, and controls that finance process, or finance as an industry. Islamic finance actually means a kind of financing system that abides by the principle of our deen. We all here believe that, alhamdulillah, Islam is a very comprehensive way of life. There is an ethical system, a ritual system, and a jihad system, an economic system, and public relations system, and the list goes on and on. One of those systems that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set through His Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam is the finance system. There are certain rules and regulations and restrictions every single individual has to abide by in order for us to call that system an Islamic one. When you hear the term Islamic finance, it should come to your mind from the very first moment that this is actually a system that does maintain the highest level of transparency and integrity. Every single individual, whether you are the financier, the one who gives money, or the recipient of the money, or even the bank or the intermediate or the finance institute in between, everybody knows from day one who is doing what, who is offering the money, who is receiving the money, what if there is a profit, what if the business did not work out properly, what if there is a loss, who's responsible for it, what if one of the investors did not fulfill his commitment, what if, all these what ifs with S, okay, all these potential scenarios have to be incorporated in a very clear and transparent contract or agreement, whether a verbal or written one. So everybody knows from day one, okay, the duties and the responsibilities of every single individual involved. Nothing called ambiguity or vagueness or jahala or gharar, nothing. That's Islamic finance. Islamic finance is all about ethics and values. When there is a clear contradiction between the feasibility or the profitability of the business from one side and the permissibility from the other side, permissibility overrides the profitability. In other words, a certain business that is so profitable brings a lot of money, but that business is absolutely haram. Okay? It stands against the ethics and the principles and the values of the Muslim society. Something related to adult entertainment, related to alcohol, related to gambling, tobacco, anything that is explicitly haram. We cannot even sit down and negotiate business. I mean, case dismissed from the very first moment. If the outcome result or the final product is a haram one, that's it. We cannot even go further. Remember, permissibility overrides profitability. This is actually what Islamic finance is all about. Commoditization and asset-backed. When you get involved in Islamic finance, make sure that you pay a lot of attention to the welfare of the society at large. Make sure that you get involved in a business, okay? Whether you are the money provider or the money recipient or the finance institute in between, that you produce something, again, the outcome result, the final product has to be something that makes sense, something that adds value to the society. You benefit yourself, you benefit others as well. And based on that, something like tangible, something beneficial that brings value to you build homes, for example, you purchase a piece of land, you do zoning, you do planting, you sell it back, you make a profit. So you produce something in you where the community actually can benefit. With this in mind, most of those so-called financial instruments that people trade in and the stock market nowadays do not make any sense from an Islamic finance perspective. Okay, maybe you have heard about those options and derivatives and CDS and CDO and futures and bonds and the vast majority of those financial instruments actually are not halal. They are not. Take for example, I think CDS or CDO, I don't remember. It's just a connection between a piece of paper that you keep like paying a premium to keep it, right? And that piece of paper, that financial instrument is connected with a certain index or portfolio in the stock market. If that portfolio makes profit, you lose money. And if they lose money, you make profit, right? I mean, this is how it works. This is actually not something that you should consider as a religious, as a practicing Muslim who wants to get involved in a business that benefits himself and benefits the society at large. Again, I'm not saying that all these financial instruments are haram, but the vast majority of them do not make any sense from an Islamic finance perspective. So make sure that you get involved with something that really makes sense, that really benefits the society at large. It goes without saying that the ban of riba or interest is the most important characteristic in the Islamic finance system. You cannot borrow money with interest. You cannot lend money with interest. You cannot facilitate any interest-bearing transaction, period. What is interesting actually to know here is that the prohibition or the ban of interest is not something limited to Islam and Muslims. We wholeheartedly believe that riba, interest, usury, was prohibited in Judaism, was prohibited in Christianity, is prohibited in Islam will continue to be prohibited all the way until the Day of Judgment. In fact, the Quran itself that we recite day and night is telling us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited the Jewish community in the past from dealing with interest. He was criticizing like certain Jewish community at a certain period of time. He said subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَى وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَى وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ. They used to trade with interest while they were prohibited from doing so. What else, I mean, you want more than that? وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَى وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ. نُهُوا عَنْهُ, they were prohibited from dealing with interest. Yes, we do have a big question mark when it comes to the authenticity of the Bible that people refer nowadays. But if you put that authenticity issue aside, just to grab any edition of the Bible and just start reading, you will come across several verses either by Isa alayhi salatu wasalam or by the disciples where they explicitly prohibiting their followers from dealing with interest. So there is a lot of consistency. There is a pattern. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited the Jews from dealing with interest, prohibited the Christians from dealing with interest, prohibited Muslims from dealing with interest. Based on that, if you feel more comfortable calling this system that you are discussing tonight, you want to call it a Jewish finance system, go for it. You are absolutely correct. You want to call it Christian finance system, you are absolutely correct. You want to call it divine finance system, you want to call it Islamic, well, do not call it Islamic, just call it whatever you want. Okay? Call it Jewish finance system. How about that? You are absolutely correct. We do not actually mind. Okay? Just remove the term Islamic and put Jewish or put Christian if that is like more acceptable, public relation wise. So that is I would say those are the most important characteristics, if you wish, of the Islamic finance system. Why I'm calling this presentation 101, I just want to limit it to the very fundamentals of the system. We are not here tonight to dig into depth and to discuss very technical, tiny fiqh details, unless we have time, after Isha, inshallah, I'll be more than happy to discuss it. So just an introduction only. We are here to unlock the secret of the system and just to make sure that when we go home, we know the difference between Islamic finance and the capitalist finance system, or the prevailing, the global one that controls the finance system worldwide. So technical details, Islamic alternative, if we reach to a conclusion that, for example, home mortgage is not a halal option. Status of those Islamic mortgage companies, is their musharaka mode of finance genuine enough? All these technical details are not 101. They are maybe 300 or 400 level. You are more than welcome to join Guidance College for our Masters in Islamic Economics and Finance, to dig in depth and to know more about all these details. We said that riba is the most important characteristic, okay, that differentiates Islamic finance from the traditional finance system. Okay, and we always say that riba is haram, usury is prohibited, interest is haram. Usury, riba, interest, they could be used interchangeably, by the way. Some people do differentiate between usury and interest. We do not actually have that differentiation from our perspective. Here is the issue. Sometimes you, out of curiosity, okay, you want to educate yourself by yourself. You just grab any of those classical fiqh books, عمدة السالك وعدة الناسك فقه الشافعي المغني لابن قدامة المبسوط للسرخسي الفقه الحنفي, right, حاشية ابن عابدين, right, and you start reading, you go all the way to the chapter of الربا, you start reading example just to grasp the concept and to understand what's going on. The more you read examples, the more you get confused, because those examples have been mentioned in the very classical fiqh books are very authentic, very correct, do not get me wrong, but they are absolutely outdated, right? You come across exchanging barley for wheat, or sugar for rice, or مش عارف apple for orange, or exchanging date fruit with different quality, with different weight with another date fruit. So the more you read, the more you get confused, and you start asking yourself a question: is this the riba that we face in USA in 2024? The answer is no. All these examples are correct, very authentic, but they are outdated, right? I wanted to forget about all these big names, like scary names that you come across: riba al-fadl, riba al-nasa, riba al-nasi'a, riba al-ta'am, riba al-duyun, riba al-amwal, riba al-jahiliya. All these big names, forget about them. From now on, whenever I say riba or usury or interest, I do refer to this very particular level of riba. Okay? The good news here is that whether you're a Hanafi or a Maliki or Shafi'i or Hanbali, doesn't make any difference. All the different madhab are absolutely unanimously in agreement that this category of riba is absolutely prohibited. And before I read the definition for you, it is the interest-bearing loan. It is the interest-bearing loan. To my very humble experience in this field, more than 95% of the prohibited transactions in this society here belong to this category. Interest-bearing loan. You go to Bank of America, to Chase, to Wells Fargo, to Capital One, you apply for a loan. Personal loan, investment loan, business loan, student loan, construction loan, what else? Any kind of loan. It's just the money that you take, right? And you commit yourself to pay back the principal and to pay back the premium on top of the principal, right? That could be an APR, could be periodical payment, one-time payment, could be compound interest, could be simple interest. It doesn't make a difference. We are not here to discuss technical, tiny details. We are discussing concepts and ideas, right? So you go to Bank of America, you apply for $100,000 loan, investment loan. Once you are approved for 5% APR, stands for annual percentage rate. If you want to use that money for one complete year, the total that you have to commit yourself to paying back is 105, right? 5%. If you want to keep that money for 4 years, total has to be paid back is how much? 120, and so on and so forth, right? Of course, it's obvious that the bank is not partnering with you. There is no partnership between you and the bank. The bank actually is lending you the money. Once you receive the money, you are absolutely by yourself, by your own, right? You make a profit, you break even, you incur loss, right? You go bankrupt, bank doesn't care about you, okay? By the law of the land, the bank can go after you in the courthouse and just ask for the principal and ask for the premium on top of the principal, as simple as that. Here is the definition. The premium that must be paid, premium must be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount, either as a condition for the loan or for an extension in its maturity. For simplicity purposes, I want you to just ignore the very last part of the definition, or for an extension in its maturity. I mean, just to avoid confusion, just focus on the first one here. The premium that must be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount as a condition for the loan. As a condition for the loan. You go again, Bank of America, you apply for $100,000. Upon the approval of your application, you will be receiving a contract or something to sign for 5% APR, okay? Riba is unavoidable. You cannot proceed with the loan. If you tell the loan officer that I'm a practicing Muslim, I cannot pay interest, he will tell you, well, you are in the wrong place. We are not a charity organization. We make money, right? So if you want to take that money, okay, you need to commit yourself to paying 5%. So if you agree, you move on. If not, then you are by your own. So riba is unavoidable. And we have two different types of money, if you wish. We have the premium and we have the principal and premium. Again, that premium could be APR, could be a lump sum, could be periodical payment, could be one-time payment, regardless, right? There is a premium and there is a principal, right? And we have two different parties. We have a borrower and we have a lender. No partnership here. It's very, very obvious that once you take that money, you are absolutely by your own. Maybe by now, you started sensing why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited interest. We'll talk about what you can tell, when the bank is giving you the money and the bank is not taking any risk. Bank is just sitting, relaxing like this, like me, waiting for you to pay the principal and the interest on top of it, right? Regardless, you make a profit, you did not make a profit, you went bankrupt, the bank doesn't care about the outcome result of that loan. In a very technical term, we call this kind of finance system risk-shifting finance. Risk-shifting finance. The bank actually is shifting the liability and the risk from his shoulder to your shoulder. Bank is not taking any risk whatsoever. Some people might get confused saying, the bank is taking the risk of default because the recipient of the money or the borrower might pass away, might procrastinate, might deny the loan, might, right? Well, that risk is always there. Even in the Islamic finance system, when I give our imam $10,000 loan, always there is a possibility that he might not pay me, right? So we're not talking about the default or the failure risk. We're talking about the risk of the outcome result of using that money. You put that money in a business, okay? Is there any profit? Is there any like break even, any loss? The bank actually doesn't care about the outcome result of the use of the money. So as I said, no partnership, no risk is taken by the lender, and there is a lot of financial exploitation. Someone is taking advantage of others. The one who does have money puts all the conditions, right? And here's what I have. Okay, you are the weak part, with all due respect. You are not in a position to negotiate it. Here's what we have. You take it or you leave it. So there is a lot of financial exploitation. On top of that, which is the most important thing, the bank is not taking any risk. Bank is not taking any risk. I want you to remember this term, risk shifting finance, because that will make it like difference between the traditional finance system and the Islamic one. So the traditional one is risk shifting finance. The Islamic one should be risk sharing one. Shifting as opposed to sharing, as we'll be explaining. Challenge we face here in this society is the clear contradiction between what we read in the classical books, okay, and the actual real transactions and deals and partnership and contracts, right, and projects that we get involved in. Okay, you come in the real life here, you come across like several charges or payments, right? Sometimes you charge others, sometimes you get charged by others, right? You come across something called penalty clause. Is the penalty clause riba or not? We do not know. Overdraft charge, I'll explain. Overdraft charge. Sometimes you have to pay overdraft charge. Is it riba or not? Late fees. All these utility bills that you receive on a monthly basis does have a due date. If you do not pay by the due date, what will happen? You have to pay what is called late fees. Is the late fees, or are the late fees riba or not? Dividend, for example, if you have any business to do in the stock market, you have retirement account, you have a simple investment account, a brokerage account, okay, you get dividend. Is that dividend riba or not? Profit, for example, commission, interest, cashback, right? Fine, compensation, honorarium, service fees, equity, shares. Those are the actual real terms that we come across in day-to-day transactions, right? And none of those terms are used in عمدة السالك or عدة الناسك or in المغني لابن قدامة. This is actually where the confusion is coming from. Okay. Our job to navigate through the system here is to try to discover or to reinterpret, if you wish, those contemporary transactions by answering a very simple question. It's very simple. It's not like rocket science like some people might think. Okay. If it is proven that in any deal, any business transaction, any contract, right? If it is proven that someone is advancing money, giving money to others without taking any liability, any risk whatsoever, and the recipient of the money, okay, the borrower, call him whatever you want, right? The recipient of the money is taking all the liability by himself, and he or she commits himself to paying the principal and to paying the premium back to the financier. That is the riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits. As simple as that. Very simple. You still remember the definition here? The premium that must be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount as a condition for the loan. If that is proven, then this is actually an interest-bearing transaction that has to be avoided. As simple as that. Someone is giving money without taking any risk, and the recipient of the money has to pay the principal, has to pay the premium on top of it. Right? If that is proven, case dismissed. That's it. This is the riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited. A very important fiqh maxim or قاعدة فقهية that we have to take into consideration here. It goes العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. What matters in business transaction, okay, in contracts, whatever you sign with others, what matters actually is the essence and reality, not the wording or the formality. In other words, we don't care about the terms, okay, that people sometimes use to impress others. Let me just take a very quick exit here. Most of those so-called Islamic mortgage companies, they try to impress the community whenever they do a presentation using those big terms. Oh, we go with musharaka. Musharaka means declining partnership. Oh, we go with lease to own. We go with murabaha. Milkul ayn wa tamlikul raqaba. They give you like those big names. So everybody will say, wow, they know what are they doing. Well, they do not know what are they doing. If you just grab their contract and read, okay, that murabaha or that musharaka or that ijara, if you go through the agreement, you reach to a conclusion that they give you money, okay, and you are fully responsible for the principal, fully responsible for the maintenance and the tax and the insurance of the property. Any appreciation, actually, any depreciation, they do not even care about it. Okay, they can go after you asking for their principal if you want to terminate the agreement. Well, what kind of difference between your musharaka or murabaha or ijara and whatever I receive from Bank of America or from Chase? So we don't care about those big names. You want to call it murabaha, call it musharaka, call it riba, call it whatever you want. What I care about is the essence and the real. You want to show me, okay, that you purchased the house jointly with me. You take your full responsibility when it comes to maintaining and running that property to prove that there is some risk is taken by you that is enough to justify the profit that you are looking for. If that risk and that liability is not there in the contract, we don't care about the name, right? Another example, you went to Bank of America, you took $100,000 loan. Some way, somehow, that loan officer was able to manage just, instead of you signing promissory note, he just removed that term, promissory note, and he called it murabaha contract or ijara or musharaka contract. Would that make it halal? It's still actually interest-bearing loan. So we don't care about the names. We care about the essence and the reality of the deal. So remember, العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. What matters in business transaction is the essence and the reality, not the wording and the formality. Let's take some practical daily examples that we come across here. Okay, saving account. Again, our job is to unlock the secret of those contemporary transactions. Okay, here is an example. I do have like $10,000 cash, and I made a deal with Sheikh Adfar to give him that money. And told him, listen, here is $10,000. Okay, do whatever you want with the money, but you need to pay me back $11,000 by the end of 2025. What do you call this deal between me and the Sheikh? Interest-bearing loan. Here is 10,000. You pay me back 11,000. You are by your own. That's an interest-bearing loan. Okay. And then I changed my mind. And instead of giving that money to the Sheikh, I went to to Bank of America again, and I opened a saving account. I deposited $10,000 based on the agreement that I signed either online or like in person. The bank has to pay me back $11,000 by the end of 2025. Okay, by the FDIC, by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. I don't care about the outcome result of that money. The bank is by his own, right? By the end of the next year, he has to pay me back like a full total amount of $11,000. What is the difference between the deal that I have done with the Sheikh and the deal that I have done with Bank of America? There is no difference. Financially, administratively, legally speaking, this is an interest-bearing loan, and what I have done actually with Bank of America is an interest-bearing loan. Okay, someone would say, oh, hold on. Do you want to tell me that you, the one who has $10,000, is lending his money to Bank of America who has millions of billions of trillions of dollars? My answer is yes. Absolutely yes. We don't care about who has more and who has less. What we care about actually is the essence and the reality. What do you call it when you give your money to XYZ individual, right? And he guarantees the principal and guarantees the return on top of it. Well, that's an interest-bearing loan. So believe it or not, when you open a saving account, you are involving yourself in an interest-bearing loan transaction. You lend your money to the bank is guaranteeing the principal, the bank is guaranteeing the return on top of the principal. Now, what is the alternative? That's completely different discussion. It's not Islamic Finance 101, right? just establish a rule here that opening a saving account actually is not a halal option. Maybe you have noticed that like some of those like examples here, overdraft charge and saving account, maybe like they refer to a few dollars, and some of them might refer to hundreds of thousands of dollars. We don't care about the amount, care about the concept, what is haram and what's halal, right? So saving account is not an option. How about an overdraft charge? Overdraft charge. You have debit card. Your debit card is connected with a checking account, right? Let's say that you do have $500 available balance. You stopped by point of sale, you purchased an item, okay, for $700, and the transaction went through, right? After 2 or 3 days, when you went to your like online statement or the bank statement, you found out that you have to pay Chase, which is your bank, like $200, and then on top of that, $30 or $35 overdraft charge. It's not introduced to you as interest. It is an overdraft charge. Okay, we need to pause here and just think about what's going on here. Okay, how do you reinterpret what happened? What do you call it if you have 500 and you purchase an item for $700 and the transaction went through? What does it mean? It means that someone paid on your behalf $200. Is that correct? Is it a gift or something that you have to pay back? You have to pay it back. Well, if you have to pay it back, then it was introduced to you as a loan. Okay, you borrowed from the bank. I mean, this is the Islamic interpretation. You borrowed $200 from the bank. If you do have to pay it back $200, there is no concern. You borrowed 200. You pay it back how much? 200. Now, the problem here is that on top of the 200, they add something else that's called overdraft charge. The way that they look at it, okay, they call it overdraft charge. Now, your interpretation is that this is a principle, an amount on top of the principle. By default, it is riba, unless otherwise proven. A banker actually might make a very good argument saying, no, hold on, this is not riba. Okay, you did not have enough money. We processed $200 from our account to your account, and we need to go after you, charging you that amount. Okay, and on top of it, like doing some work. So because of the extra work that has been created because of your default, we want to charge you. That's a very good argument, and it could be the case, by the way, right? So, as an Islamic Finance 101, that overdraft charge is interest unless otherwise proved. If you can prove otherwise, that would be fine. It is interest by default unless otherwise proved. Home mortgage, when you mortgage a house, okay, in a very traditional way, you get involved in a sale agreement. Okay, someone wants to sell his house for $700,000. So you sign a sale agreement. You purchase that house from the landlord, and because you do not have $700,000 cash, you apply for mortgage, right? Whenever your mortgage application is approved, the mortgage company or the bank would pay $700,000 on your behalf to the landlord, and you have to pay that $700,000, $1 million straight within the next 30 years. In order for the mortgage company or the bank to secure their fund, okay, they put a lien on the property, they mortgage the property. So we're talking about sale agreement, a loan agreement, and a mortgage agreement. Okay, sale agreement is halal. Okay, وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا. Loan agreement actually is haram because the bank is lending you, or the mortgage company is lending you 700 that has to be paid back $1 million, right? The third agreement, which is the mortgage one, is halal as well, right? Halal in a sense that the lender does have the right to give what is called secured loan, or ask for a collateral to secure or to guarantee his money. If someone is approaching me, asking me for $100 loan, and I do not know that individual well, I can ask him, give me your watch, give me your phone, I'm going to keep it with me as a collateral. Whenever you bring me my $100, I will give you back your property. There's nothing wrong with that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran actually indicated the permissibility of عقد الرهن. He said, وَإِن كُنتُمْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ. Do you want to break for the adhan? Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِن كُنتُمْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ وَلَمْ تَجِدُوا كَاتِبًا فَرِهَانٌ مَقْبُوضَةٌ. Al-rihan is al-rahan. Al-rahan is the mortgage. Mortgage is the lien agreement. So we do not have any concern when it comes to offering money as a secured loan, right? So looking for some security, like measures to go after the borrower to get your money is okay. The main problem that we have here is the loan agreement. So if you end up have three different segments, we have sale agreement or components in that deal, loan agreement, sale agreement, and mortgage agreement. Two of them are halal. One of them is haram, which is the loan one, right? The Islamic finance system, if it is proven that certain segment or component in that transaction or deal or partnership, if it is clearly explicitly haram, that haram segment is way more than enough to ruin the whole deal and to make it a haram. And based on that, the very fundamental rule here is that mortgaging homes in a very classical, traditional way in the USA is not a halal option. Same confusion. Some people would say, oh, hold on. The mortgage company is owning the property. And here is their name on the deed of trust. Wrong answer, right? You have two different documents to sign here, right? One of them is the title. The title actually is a legal document, identifies the ownership of the property. And there is another document called the deed of trust. Deed of trust actually is the document that proves the indebtedness. Okay, who is the financier and who is the obliger? Obliger actually is the borrower, which is you, the victim, like the one who borrowed the money, and the financier actually is the mortgage company. You will see the name of that mortgage company of the deed of trust as a lien holder, not as an owner. They do not own the property. You are the obliger, the borrower, and you are the owner of the house from day one. You are the owner and the obliger, or the debtor or the borrower, right, from day one. The mortgage company actually is the lien holder. They do not own the house. You own the house from day one. And the conclusion here is that home mortgage actually is not a halal option. Again, as I said, some of those examples refer to few dollars or tens of dollars. Some of them refer to millions of dollars. We don't care about the amount of money. We care about the concept. Which one is haram? Which one is halal? Now, cashback. When you use your debit card, you are not borrowing money. You withdraw money from your checking account. That halal money that you deposit in your checking account, you withdraw from them. But when you hold a credit card and you start using it, you are borrowing money. Is that correct? You are not using your money, you borrow money. So all the rules and the restrictions of the loan agreement are to be applied when it comes to using credit card. When you hold the credit card, you can get some money through cash withdrawal. You can withdraw some cash. You can use your credit card for purchasing items, for paying bills, right? Do whatever you want. You have what's called line of credit, $10,000. You can just keep swiping your card and using that money all the way until you hit the threshold, which is $10,000. So this is a loan agreement. You borrow money from the credit card company. Okay. Before I explain the cashback, when it comes to riba, okay, there is a well-established قاعدة here. كل قرض جر نفعا مشروطا للمقرض فهو ربا. كل قرض جر نفعا مشروطا للمقرض فهو ربا. Each and every loan that brings a stipulated benefit to the lender will be counted as riba. So any kind of benefit that the lender, the money provider, is receiving will be counted as riba, right? Even if I tell the sheikh, I'm willing to give you $1,000 loan, but I do not have a car, so you need to give me a ride to the hotel after I finish. Okay? And without giving me a ride to the hotel, no 1,000 for you. Well, believe it or not, that's riba. That's riba from myself, because actually I'm benefiting from the 1,000 that I'm giving him as a loan. Do not worry, Sheikh, I have my own car, so just an example. So back to our discussion here. If the lender actually is the one who is benefiting from the loan, that will be counted as interest. Okay. Here is the deal. If I'm to give, I'm picking on you tonight, I don't know why. If I'm to give the sheikh $100 and ask him to pay me back 105, that's an interest-bearing loan. Is that correct? If I'm to give him 100 and ask him to pay me back only 100, what do you call it? Qardun Hasan. Is that correct? Qardun Hasan, interest-free loan. If I'm to give him 100 and ask him to pay me back only $95, is it still haram? No, it's not. Because the one who is benefiting in this scenario is not me, the lender. The borrower is the one who's benefiting. And that's exactly actually what happened with what's called the cashback. Cashback is the kind of promotion that credit card companies actually offer you for like competition purposes. They want to get more customers. They tell you, listen, whatever you use your money, okay, I'm willing to give you 5% cashback. So you end up borrowing 100, paying it back 100, they pay you back $5. Net amount that you paid is how much? 95. So cashback actually is absolutely the opposite of interest. Cashback actually is halal. Owner finance with interest. Okay, you want to purchase a house, a car from your non-Muslim friend. He was asking for $10,000 cash, and I told him, I'm very interested in buying you a car. I don't have 10,000 cash. Is it an option to make an installment for me? He said yes. He just grabbed his calculator and started doing math. He said, okay, this car will be for $10,000 price plus $2,000 interest. And he insisted on putting the term interest in the agreement for 1 year. Do you think that going with this deal, okay, means that you are paying $2,000 interest? Okay. Before you answer, I want to again just pause and think about what's going on here. Okay. Now, what if you told him, okay, that's fine. I will pay you 12. Well, instead of making like in-house finance with him, paying him 12,000, you went to Wells Fargo and you borrowed $10,000 cash. You gave him 10,000, you took the car, and you paid Wells Fargo $12,000 in 1 year. Are those two different scenarios identical? They are not. In the first scenario, there was no loan agreement to start with. There was no loan, right? It was an installment sale. That car is for $10,000 cash, or for $12,000 for 1 year, $13,000 for 2 years, 14. He can give you unlimited options. And up to this point, actually, it's halal. As long as you did not close or pick and choose one of those options, he can give you unlimited options. Even if he's a Muslim, by the way, it doesn't make difference, right? Now, once you close, you close. Okay, you have chosen to purchase that car for $12,000, 1 year installment. It means that the total price is how much? 12,000. Okay, it means that the monthly payment is how much? 1,000. 1,000 times 12, that's 12,000. Everything is well known from day one, right? And plus, on top of that, there was no loan to start with. That John Smith or whatever your neighbor or friend did not lend you money. Okay, he sold the car to you. This is, by the way, one of the scenarios where the Islamic finance system does acknowledge what's called the time value. Time value. Sometimes they call it in economics, they call it the opportunity cost. Opportunity cost in a sense that if he had chosen to sell that car for $10,000 to somebody else, he would have been able to make $2,000 net profit from those $10,000 within 1 year. He has compromised that opportunity to give you the car because he wants to make you happy. Now, هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان. He compromised $2,000 for you to make you happy. You pay him that opportunity cost, which is $2,000. You can look at it from a different perspective. If the market value of the car is $10,000, does he have the right to ask for $12,000 cash? Can he ask for $12,000 or not? He can. There is a lot of transparency in the market here, right? You go to KBB, just enter the specification, or CarMax, right? It's just a free service. Go there, just enter the specification of the car. It gives you the market value of the car. So you know from day one that the value of the car is $10,000, right? And he's asking for $12,000 cash. Now, my question to you, if he does have the right to ask for $12,000 cash, why cannot he break it down into 12 months installments? You see the point here? So an installment sale with extra price is halal. An installment sale with extra price, with markup, is halal, right? Now, the confusion actually is coming from the fact that that non-Muslim seller, okay, or car owner, is insisting on putting the term interest in the agreement. Well, even if you put interest, from your perspective, it is not an interest, okay? Remember, العبرة في العقود, where is it? العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. What matters in transaction is the essence and reality, not the wording or the formality, right? So even if you put the term interest, it is not interest. Let me just skip the penalty clause to save some time. The Islamic finance actually is all about risk sharing. Islamic finance is all about risk sharing, as opposed to risk shifting. You still remember those terms? Risk shifting means non-Islamic, traditional. Islamic finance means risk sharing. Every single mode of finance, whether it is mudaraba or musharaka or murabaha or ijara or istisna, does have to involve a certain amount of risk and liability taken by the financier in order for him or her to justify the profit that he is asking for. We are not making up rules here. Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, in a very precise hadith, وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى سُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَى. In 2 words, he summarized the whole argument by saying, الْخَرَاجُ بِالضَّمَانِ, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Al-kharaju bil-daman. Profit follows liability. Al-ghunmu bil-ghurm. Which means that if you want to make profit, ahlan wa sahlan, we would love to see you flourishing in your business and making money, but you need to do it in the most ethically and socially responsible way. You take sufficient risk, right, with that money that you offer to others in order for you to justify the profit that you are making. So any kind of mode of finance, mudaraba, musharaka, murabaha, istisna means manufacturing sale. Like when you contract a home builder to build a house for you from scratch, we call it istisna. Ijara means lease to own, right? Murabaha means to purchase the property. We're discussing with the sheikh today, okay? You ask someone to purchase a house for you for $500,000, so he closes on the house, okay? He buys it spot sale, $500,000, selling it back to you for $600,000, 10 years in installment. There is no loan involved here. He took the risk of purchasing the house. Because of that risk, he can justify the profit or the markup that he's asking for. Musharaka means partnership. Mudaraba means trustee partnership. Money from one side and management from the other side. Again, every single mode of finance has to have a significant amount of risk involved in it. If that risk is not proven, then the practice of the musharaka, the execution of the musharaka is wrong. Musharaka is perfect. Mudaraba is perfect. But sometimes actually people manipulate the contract. They just put it in a way, they set it in a way where they keep the risk to the minimum, or they even terminate the risk. If the risk is not there like at all, 0% risk, that transaction actually is riba, even if it is called musharaka or murabah. For the sake of time, let me just pick and choose the musharaka one and give you an example. For discussion purposes, which is unfortunately not the case nowadays, just imagine that there is a very genuine, very sound, very authentic, 100% Islamic finance practice. It's not the case nowadays. We do not have like pure, genuine, sound Islamic finance, illa ma rahima rabbi. All what you have heard about, like now, especially in the USA, is a very fake and very manipulated one, like, straightforward. Just for discussion, imagine that we do have Islamic finance, and we do have 2 different brothers here in the community who want to mortgage their homes. Okay, so we have your name? Bread, B-R-E-D. Okay, so we have Bread and we have Sheikh. Okay, Bread actually decided to go with the Islamic mortgage company, right? And the Sheikh, for some reason, decided to mortgage his home with Bank of America, right? Just as an example. Both gentlemen was approved for $500,000. Approved for $500,000 to be paid back $800,000 within the next 30 years. So far, so good. Someone actually passing by here does not have any idea of what's going on, right? would say, well, what's the difference between bread and the sheikh? Both of them borrowed $500,000 and they have to pay it back how much? 800,000. What's the difference? Okay. Difference between the Islamic mortgage company that bread actually went with as opposed to Bank of America that the sheikh decided to go with. That's a very good question, very innocent question. And the confusion actually that some people might have, believe it or not, is not something new. It was actually brought to our attention since the revelation of the Quran. A lot of people were confusing when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited interest. ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا. Some people said that what's the difference between sale agreement, bread, and loan agreement, the sheikh. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replied by saying, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. While Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permitted the sale agreement and prohibited the loan agreement. Now, as I said, that confusion is not new. It has been repeated over and over. In the real life, what happened with the sheikh is that upon the approval of his mortgage application, he purchased the house. Maintaining the house is his absolute responsibility. When it comes to maintenance, tax, insurance, if there is any appreciation, any depreciation, any eminent domain, like if the property is taken by the state of Illinois with no sufficient compensation, just for example, okay, any natural disaster and the insurance did not cover, the sheikh is absolutely by his own. The Bank of America or Wells Fargo, doesn't care about maintaining the house, right? And within 30 years, he has to pay $800,000 between principal and interest. What happened with the bread is completely different. Bread actually gets involved in what is called declining partnership or diminishing partnership. They call it المشاركة المتناقصة المنتهية بالتمليك. He paid 5% down payment equity, and the Islamic mortgage company paid 95%. And he can see from day one that the Islamic mortgage company is putting its name on the deed of trust as a co-owner, in addition to be like a lien holder. So there's an actual, real, genuine, legal ownership proven from day one. From day one. Now, Brett actually wants to bring his wife. You're still single, right? Okay. He wants to bring his future wife and kids to live there. Okay. He owns only 5% of the house. So in order for him to occupy the house, it makes a lot of sense that he needs to pay rent to the Islamic mortgage company. Is that correct? Let's say that the fair rental value is $2,500. The Islamic mortgage company would ask Brett to pay $3,000. $2,500, the fair rental value, and $500 extra to increase his equity because it is a declining partnership. So every single payment he makes, he increases his equity and decreases the equity of the company. So you start 5%, 95%. After 1 or 2 months, you become 6% owner, and their ownership goes down to 90, 94, 7%, 93, 8%, 92, all the way until the very last payment he makes by the end of the 30th year. He just kicks them out of the deal by becoming the exclusive owner of the house. Through that long journey between the Islamic mortgage company and Brett, they have to maintain the property jointly, proportionally. Okay. At a certain point, Brett actually became 25% owner, and their ownership went down to 75%. Okay. For that particular year, 2028, okay, a few years from now, the total cost for maintaining the property between maintenance and tax and insurance was $10,000 straight. Okay. Brett actually is responsible for how much? $2,500. They have to pay out of pocket how much? $7,500. Okay. After maybe 7, 8, 10 years, Brett said, you know what? Illinois is too cold. I want to go down to Houston, Texas. I like the humidity there. So I'm just fed up with that house. That's fine. Put that house in the market, right? Sell it in the market. After 10, 15 years, there was an appreciation in the market value of the house, $100,000. And at that point, actually, he was owning 75% of the house, right? Believe it or not, he's going to put in his own pocket, $75,000, and the Islamic mortgage company will take 25,000 because he owns 75% of the house. See what I'm saying? Vice versa, something happened. There was a depreciation, 100,000. He loses $75,000, and they lose $25,000. Imminent domain, natural disaster, something happened, act of God, as they say. Mortgage, what they call it, the insurance company did not cover, right? Total cost was $10,000. He owns 75%. He pays out of pocket only 7,500, and they pay how much? 2,500. Are you catching up with me here? Okay. That's exactly actually what happened, or what the difference between what happened with the one who went with the Islamic mortgage company. Whenever Islamic finance is genuinely practiced, which is not the case nowadays. I just want to make it clear. As opposed to the sheikh who decided to go with the traditional mortgage. And that actually explains the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا. Why riba is prohibited? That's a very good question, right? Your friend, non-Muslim friend or neighbor or partner, ask you a question. Again, you go to the bank, you take $100,000 loan for 5% APR. Okay, you put that money in a business, you make 20% net profit. You pay the principal, you pay 5%, you keep 15% for yourself. Okay, win-win situation, everybody's happy. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making it hard for us and making riba prohibited? That's another good question. Here is the answer. In the real life, this particular example does happen a lot, but it's not the only scenario that takes place in the real life. Sometimes you borrow money from a bank and you do not make 20%. You do not make 100%. You do not make, you make 500% net profit. I'm fully responsible for what I say. My oldest son, Suhaib, does have an online business with Amazon and some other platforms. The name of the business is called Vintage. Vintage, actually, he goes to Salvation Army and Goodwill, purchasing like very, very useless clothes, like, something almost trash, excuse me, right? He says, Baba, sometimes I purchase the shirt for $5 and I sell it for $50. He pays out of pocket, okay, between like maintaining, cleaning, preparing that shirt, $5, and he sells it for $50. If you are to buy a shirt for $5 and you sell it for $10, how much is your profit rate? 100%. If you sell it for $15, 200%. If you sell it for $50, do the math. Okay, so sometimes he makes like way more than 700, 800% net profit. Question here: if my son is to borrow money from the bank and gives the bank 5% APR from the principal, which is 5,000, is it fair enough? Okay, is it fair enough? Okay, from the like from the bank side, right? For him to get 500%, 700% net profit, and to give the bank only 5%, where is the fairness? Where is the justice here? There is absolutely no justice. Now, this is a very extreme example. Let's go to the other extreme example. Someone borrowed money, again, same boring example, $100,000 from Bank of America. But he borrowed that money back in March 2020. What happened at that time? What happened at that time? COVID-19, right? He borrowed the money, right? And because of COVID-19, the whole business and finance system get frozen. He was unable to make money, unable to break even. He was even unable to maintain the principal. He just lost everything. Okay, and there was absolutely no negligence, no mismanagement, nothing wrong from his end. But because of the act of God, as they say, he lost everything. Well, believe it or not, the bank, by the law of the land, can go after him and ask for the principal and ask for 5% APR, right? Same question here. Where is the justice? Where is the fairness here? There's absolutely no justice and no fairness. So the answer, like to answer the question, whenever riba is implemented, incorporated in any finance system, it brings a lot of financial exploitation, taking advantage of one another, brings a lot of injustice. Now, on the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who clearly, explicitly mentioned in the Quran that the main reason behind sending all the prophets, all the messengers, all the books and scriptures, even the mizan, which is the symbol of justice, okay, to establish justice on earth. لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. We have already sent our messengers with the clear evidences. وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ. And we sent down with them the scripture and the balance. As if someone is asking Allah, why you did all that? قَالَ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ. So people may maintain their affairs with justice. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did all that to establish justice. And the one actually who practices riba is implementing injustice on earth. So he stands against the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bear in mind that when something is haram, it's haram for everybody, for every transaction, at any time, for any reason, right? When we say zina or drinking or killing or stealing or riba is haram, it's haram every time, everywhere, for everybody, at any time, anywhere. There is no exception here. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made like riba haram. Of course, Muslim community needs a lot of education when it comes to finance, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency. Hope inshallah after Isha we'll have some time to like touch on cryptocurrency and student loans and retirement accounts and investing in the stock market, insurance and home mortgage and banking, inshallah. As I said, here is Guidance College, the one that I represent. We do have masters in Islamic economics and finance. You can visit our website, guidancecollege.org, and go to the MAEF, Masters in Islamic Economics and Finance. Guidance College is a purely online university, so you don't have to go down to Texas to join us. You can just join us from Illinois, from here. This is an evening and weekend college, very affordable tuition fees, and we have, alhamdulillah, in-house financial aid. Solution for the Muslim community, it's almost iqama time. Okay, we have short-term solution and we have long-term solution. Syndication and crowdfunding means that you disrupt, you stand against the banking system in the USA in a very civilized and a very respectful way. You tell the banks, I can survive without borrowing money. So you tap on the resource of your own community. You establish an LLC or whatever the legal body might be. You collect funds from the community, investment, okay, based on investment. You do not borrow money, no. Okay, you bring money from people through the syndication or crowdfunding, and you establish whatever company you want to fund whatever project you want. Okay, we have a very successful models, not only one model. One of them is called Amin Housing. Amin Housing in California, it's an independent Islamic mortgage company. They have nothing to do with the secondary market. No Freddie Mac, no Freddie Mae, nothing whatsoever. It's a contribution based. A group of young people get together and they establish that idea. They showed me a while ago, myself and Sheikh Salah Al-Sawi and Sheikh Jamal Zaraboza, their contract. We found out that they do have some glitches here or there. We fixed them, and alhamdulillah, they do a wonderful job. They finance between 40 to 50 different homes a year, which is not bad, right? So my point here is that when there is a will, there is a way, right? We have hundreds of millions of dollars scattered all over the country owned by the Muslim community. And it's really, really embarrassing to say that certain communities circulate, okay, the dollar 16 times within that community before that dollar goes out. Other communities, circulate that dollar maybe 9 or 10 times. Muslim community almost between 0 and 1. We do not like to work together. Well, it is time for us actually to change our attitude and to tap on our resources. We do have a lot of money, but we need the will, we need determination, we need leadership, put our resources together and to work. On the long-term solution, we need to get involved more in politics. We need to communicate more with the policy makers and do some lobbying. I know it is time. So here is Guidance College, and here is my email, Dr. Mount Guidance College. I do actually Sharia compliance consultation. If you want to reach out to me, you can do so through this website. Here is my business card, and those are some like brochures to read more about Guidance College. We'll continue inshallah after Salat al-Isha for question and answer. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. So inshallah, Rabbil Alameen, after Isha will be a Q&A, inshallah, and maybe we can touch upon some of the topics that Dr. Mana has talked about. Jazakumullah khair.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله هي الفلاح هي الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
سمع الله لمن حمده.
الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
سمع الله لمن حمده.
الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله استغفر الله استغفر الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah wa ba'd. For those brothers and sisters who did not attend the khutbah today, or they were here but they did not get enough time to show their support to Guidance College, this is just a quick reminder and a very final appeal to support Guidance College. I was saying that this institute has been established to serve the Muslim community. So alhamdulillah, a group of Islamic scholars who are doing the job of disseminating authentic and relevant Islamic knowledge and supplying the Muslim community in the USA with sufficient number of Islamic scholars. So they do the job on behalf of the community at large. And the program that is appealing the most to the community is the bachelor's degree in Islamic studies. Alhamdulillah, the number of new reverts to Islam is increasing who show interest in joining Guidance College, pursuing a degree. The tuition fees that we charge is very, very nominal. We charge only $10,000 for the whole program, believe it or not, for 4 years. Although Guidance College is fully accredited now by ASIC, one of the most prestigious accreditation bodies in UK, in United Kingdom. Alhamdulillah, we are working diligently to get our accreditation in the USA. Yet, we want to make sure that money is not a hurdle that will never stop people from seeking knowledge. Even that very nominal tuition fee is $10,000. If those new reverse to Islam cannot afford it for whatever reason, and they can prove, they can make a case, we give them what is called in-house financial aid. We did not in the past, we do not in the present, and inshallah will never in the future turn down the application of any convert or any student who wants to pursue degree in Islamic studies because he or she cannot afford paying the tuition fees. Bear in mind that Guidance College is a 501c non-for-profit organization, so your donation is tax deductible. More importantly, it's definitely an eligible zakat recipient. You can prepay zakatul mal, the amount that you have in mind from now, that you are putting it aside, to be paid in the month of Ramadan. You can prepay it from now to sponsor more students at Guidance College. Please help and support us increasing the number of Islamic scholars, native, homegrown Islamic scholars, brothers and sisters, in this society. We want to make sure that we'll continue, inshallah, growing, becoming stronger and more influential in the USA, while having sufficient number of Islamic scholars. Sponsoring a student, okay, under the zakah, if you have your intention to pay zakat al-mal under the category of al-fuqara and al-masakin, the first two categories that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designated, it will be counted. Under the category of al-mu'allafati qulubuhum, new reverse to Islam, you can definitely pay zakat al-mal. We do have a bank account for the in-house financial aid. So again, sponsoring one student for 4 years, that the whole program is only $10,000. I wish, I hope, I pray that we can sponsor a few students tonight. And to be honest with you, the outcome result of today's fundraising was very humble. Maybe Jum'ah is not the right time for people to donate. They are in rush and go back to to work. Whatever the reason might be, the floor is yours. $10,000 from your zakah, from your sadaqah, from your donation, on behalf of yourself, on behalf of someone passed away. You want to give it to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to help Guidance College proceeding with its job. Wallahi, Guidance College for us is not a job. It's not a business. It is a passion. It is actually a mission. We believe in what we do. And alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us, with graduating a good number of students of knowledge, either with masters in Islamic education or masters in Islamic economics and finance or bachelor's degree in Islamic studies. Do you think we can sponsor maybe a student for $10,000? Anyone, inshallah, who is willing to make it happen tonight and say, yes, I will make it happen. Here is $10,000 from my sadaqah, from my zakah, from my donation. I want actually to get the exact reward that individual will be having, because Prophet ﷺ have told us that if you sponsor someone and you help someone, you will be getting the exact reward of that individual. So just imagine a new revert to Islam will be going out, giving da'wah and spreading knowledge. Okay, how much reward he will be getting? He will be getting, inshallah, the similar reward. $10,000 by one brother, maybe by two brothers. Jazakallah khairan kathiran. You want to sponsor one student for the 4 years. Jazakallah khairan kathiran. Barakallahu laka fi ahlika wa fi malik. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you in health and wealth and protect you and your family from all evil. Allahumma ameen. Any match for my brother here, inshallah? Another student who can make it happen, inshallah. How about maybe two brothers with 5,000 each? If you want to sponsor a student for 2 years, that's 5,000. 1 year, 2,500. Anyone, inshallah, who's willing to make it happen? Maybe 5,000, two brothers with 5,000. Maybe four hands, 4 brothers or 4 sisters with 2,500 each. Who's willing, inshallah, to make it happen tonight? I have just a few minutes, and I will go back, inshallah, to the presentation. And do not worry, I have plenty of time. I get my dinner, I get my tea, so salamun hiya hatta matla al-fajr. As long as you are interested, I'm just sitting, inshallah, and answering questions. Any hands, inshallah? I want to go down all the way to 1,000. How about that? Can we see, inshallah, 10 hands, brothers and sisters, with only 1,000 each, sponsoring one more student, and that will be it. I promise I will stop and just go back to the presentation. Who is willing, inshallah, to make it happen with 1,000? Even the 1,000, jazakallahu khairan kathiran, you can break it down, make it in installments, and I promise, no interest. 1,000, one time payment, I'll break it down to 1 year, it's going to be the same. More hands, inshallah. Sisters, any contribution from the sister side? Only 1,000. Jazakallahu khairan kathiran, barakallahu laka fi ahlika wa fi malik. More hands, inshallah, with only 1,000. How about that? Only 1,000. That's the standard. Jazakallah khair, Dr. Ahmed Sulaiman, barakallahu feek. So that's 3,000, 4,000, jazakallah khair, almost there. Can we see, inshallah, more hands with only 1,000? Remember that this is the legacy that you will leave behind. إذا مات ابن آدم انقطع عمله إلا من ثلاث. When the son of Adam dies, all of his good deeds will be stopped, will be terminated except from three. The first one is صدقة جارية. Prophet ﷺ means what he says. Sadaqah means one-time payment, one-time reward. Sadaqatun jariyah means one-time payment, everlasting reward. Do a very smart investment with Allah. Put your money, invest your money in producing and supplying the community 2500. Jazakallah khairan kathiran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah yajzika khair ya akhti. Barakallah fiki. Thank you so much. I'll be inshallah waiting for your donation. Okay. So that's sadaqatun jariyah, one-time payment, everlasting reward, inshallah. And the second one is ilmun intifa'u, be beneficial knowledge. That's exactly what we do at Guidance Club. So far, mashallah, we have 10,000, we have 4,000 here, and we have 2,500. So that is 6,500. Do you think we can have few hands with only 500 each, like just to make it 10,000? And I will stop, I promise. So we need another maybe 7 brothers, is that correct? With 500 each? Am I doing the math correctly? So 7 hands with 500. Can we make it happen, inshallah? Anyone who is willing to make it happen? 500 only. An installment, one-time payment, $50 a month, 100, whatever you can afford. Can anyone, inshallah, make it happen? طيب جزاكم الله خيرا كثيرا. بارك الله لكم فيما أنفقتم وبارك لكم فيما أخذتم. جزاك الله خير. I do have actually a pledge form. I do have credit card machine if you have your credit card with you. I do have donation box. Please make sure that you fulfill your pledge, you make your donation. I will take just a few minutes to take your donation, inshallah, and we'll resume the class. As I said, I have plenty of time. As long as you're interested, I'm going to, inshallah, stay and answer your questions, inshallah. جزاكم الله خيرا كثيرا. بارك الله لكم فيما أنفقتم وبارك لكم فيما أبقيتم. May Allah bless whatever you paid for His cause. May Allah bless whatever you kept for yourself. صلى الله على محمد. بارك الله.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. We'll start the Q&A session in a couple of minutes, inshallah. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to take a piece of paper and write it down, or you can wait and we can give you the microphone and you speak it up. Whatever you prefer. We have a piece of paper for you, or you can get the mic and ask the question, inshallah. For the sisters, hopefully you have sent your questions already, or we can send you some piece of paper for your questions.
Test.
We're going to start the Q&A now, inshallah. I'm going to give it up to Dr. Ma'an, inshallah.
So inshallah we're going to resume the session. If you kindly just if you're interested, maybe you can join us.
And since Dr. Ma'an kept on using myself as an example, I kept on taking loans. I need to increase my salary now. Dr. Sulaiman, we're ready?
Inshallah, we'll start with one question.
Assalamu alaikum. So, I think I missed the first half of the lecture, but I just have a question about if we're buying brand new houses, okay, a developer who's he just built like new houses, and they're offering direct financing with the developer, so there is no actual lender that is coming as a third party in the contract. It's you buying from the owner or the developer. But it's done in the same way, like there's financing, interest rates, 30 years, 15 years. So
here's the trick.
Yeah.
Some of the states here in the US do allow home builders to own 100% of their finance department. And some of them say no. You cannot own more than 70% of your finance department because of the conflict of interest, because they're going to do the appraisal and the finance. The state of Texas, for example, where I came from, the government doesn't care. The government does allow home builders, construction companies, to own 100% of the finance department. Okay, if you are interested, if it is the same like in the state of Illinois, okay, you can finance with the home builder. But do not pick up the phone and ask them a question, do you have your own finance? Because the answer will be yes. They will go, with the book, they will give you the answer that you want, right? So you need to do your own due diligence. If you are positive, 100%, that that particular homeowner does own 100% of the finance department, that's Aqdul Istisna. That's Aqdul Istisna, manufacturing sale. Even if they ask you to sign loan agreement, go for it. Whatever they count it as loan, interest-bearing loan, it is not. Okay, they ask you to sign for a loan agreement because the next day in the morning they go to Freddie Mac selling that contract for a small markup. But haram and halal wise, this is actually the best option, right? That many Muslims in this country do not know, which is the owner finance. But again, the trick here is to make sure that they own 100% of the finance part. Make sense?
it does. So is this something that needs to be mentioned in the contract that they own 100% of the
Usually
finance?
they do not.
They don't.
You need to do your own due diligence and find out who owns the finance department or the affiliate mortgage company.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah.
So, Doctor, we have some questions for you, inshallah. So I think the first, we can bracket them into main categories. The first one was related to financing a new car, if you're buying a new car. And some of the brothers were asking, what is the ruling on buying a car, for instance, from Toyota or Volkswagen, and you're doing the financing directly with them versus doing the financing with a third party? And if the contract is including, like you said, interest like 2.9% or 1.9%, is that halal or not? Or do we need to bring it down to 0% and up the cost so that the contract doesn't have any interest language in it? So questions about financing, buying cars.
Most of the cases that I'm aware of, right, the finance department is on. I do.
Okay.
The finance department and the car dealership are completely financially, administratively, legally, completely independent organizations. So the finance, like Nissan, is offering you 3% APR. This is actually not a in-house finance. This is actually a third-party finance. Unless you can prove otherwise, that the finance department is owned by the car dealership. Well, in this country, there is no one size fits all, by the way. Different states, different car dealerships, different manufacturers have different models. Sometimes the car dealership owns those cars and they own the finance department. If that is proven, then that's like in-house finance. Even if they ask for 3% APR, whatever they call it, riba, it is not, right? But in most cases, finance department is completely independent. Now, if you can prove that the one who's selling you the car is the one who is financing the car for you, go for it. If not, then it has to be zero finance, right? If zero finance is not an option, some people prefer to go with a أي كلام solution, which is capitalizing the interest or buy out the interest. They negotiate a deal with the car dealership, okay, and instead of reducing the price, they negotiate a deal to increase the price. Okay, so the Nissan 2025 is for $20,000 plus $3,000 interest APR within the next 5 years. So they negotiate a deal to make the price $23,000, okay, total with zero APR. And in this case, the car dealership or the finance department would ask you to pay the $3,000 upfront. Okay, they look at it as if you are paying the interest upfront. You look at it as if you, as this is like a down payment. So this is not an ideal solution, but I do not dare saying it is haram. It is not. Personally, I do not do it, but like if someone decided to do it, I cannot blame him, because again, at the end of the day, according to the contract, it's zero APR. The price is 23 in our example, so you should be good to go.
So what you just said is just if we are able to buy it down to 0%, that's a bit safer than going with an interest-based contract if we cannot prove that the person or the entity who's financing the car is exactly the same one that is selling the car to us.
I have heard in North Carolina a few cases where the car dealership owns the finance department. If that is correct and proven, then even if they ask for certain APR, this is not, I mean, this is بالتقسيط insolvency, even if they call it like otherwise. What's that? No, it has to be fixed, akhi. It has to be fixed. Like the price has to be well known from day one, and the APR has to be zero, period. Unless that finance department is owned by the seller, by the car dealership, or by the manufacturer. In this case, I mean, having like APR is fine.
Oh, yeah.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Just to confirm, for example, you go to a Honda dealer. The financing is with Honda Finance. That's what it's called. So it is not in the dealer, but both are Honda. Which category would that fit from the two that you mentioned?
Well, the fact that they hold the same name, Honda, and they belong to the parent company doesn't make them one entity. In most cases that I'm aware of, they're completely independent. All right. So Honda Finance, as again, administratively, legally, financially, completely independent from Honda car dealership. All right. So all the rules of riba actually do apply here because this is a third-party lender. Dr.
No.
I guess it sounds like you're saying that if the manufacturer is selling it, that these are terms of sale. But what I don't understand is these don't really sound like terms of sale. There's two contracts going on. One is the sale of the car, the other is the finance of the car. One's a financial sale and one is a goods sale. And that's what I'm a little confused about, how we can say that it's okay for them to bundle it in one if they're clearly two distinct transactions.
It's the same discussion, Akhi. Again, if the finance department is owned by the car dealership, whatever they introduce it to you as an APR, as an interest, from your perspective, actually it is not. You remember the homeowner finance that we discussed? Did you attend it?
Yeah.
Right? It's the same concept. Like someone is asking for $10,000 cash or for $12,000 an installment. He insists in calling that extra $2,000 interest. That would be fine. Call it whatever you want. العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا الألفاظ والمباني. So whatever is introduced to you as an interest, it is not.
It's not a change of price. It's the terms of the finances. There's a penalty with payment. There's early buyout. Yani these are still the terms of interest.
The penalty of payment or the late fees actually is completely different. I mean, this is a very avoidable thing. So riba is not explicit here. Riba is avoidable. Every single utility bill that you receive does have a due date, right? And if you pass the due date, what will happen? You have to pay late fees. Is that correct? What if you did not pass it? You can just continue years and years using that utility service without paying interest. See? So we need to distinguish between two cases. Number one, riba is unavoidable. Number two, riba is avoidable. Right? Now our fuqaha say الحرام لذاته لا تبيحه إلا الضرورة والحرام لغيره تبيحه الحاجة. Whatever is proven to be prohibited for itself by itself cannot be permitted unless there is a necessity, right? If something is prohibited because of its potential consequences, could be permitted in case of need, right? In our example here, al-haramu lidhatihi is to go to the bank and to borrow money with interest. Riba is unavoidable. You are just like immersing yourself in riba from day one, okay? You cannot do that unless you can prove necessity, right? Now, al-haramu li ghayrihi is using credit card, right? Using credit card. I mean, you have been using your own credit card for years and years, but you did not pay one single penny interest because you know very well how to handle it. Okay? You know that if you use your credit card for cash withdrawal, you're going to pay interest. You know that if you do not pay your monthly statement in full before the due date, you have to pay interest. But alhamdulillah, you have been paying like on time, in full. You avoid cash withdrawal. And that's why I've been using your credit card for years and years without paying interest, because riba actually is avoidable. So having a penalty clause or having late fees does not ruin the whole deal and make it haram. It is not. Okay? Like al-aqdu sahih wa shartu fasid. Al-aqdu sahih wa shartu fasid. The transaction is still valid, but you need to pay attention because you subject yourself to paying interest. You are not paying interest, you subject yourself. Like when you sign for a credit card, okay, you show your willingness to pay interest. But in reality, are you paying interest? You are not. And this is actually where the distinction, comes from.
Okay. Jazakallah khair. So I think the one major question we have is about the home financing. And many brothers are asking about guidance residential specifically. It's the most popular one here. And we have heard different things about it. We've read about the statement made by Amja years ago. So would love to get your inputs on this, your views, because lots of brothers are basically went into the details of the contract. Sometimes they don't share with you the appreciation or depreciation or the maintenance or tax.
And sometimes always.
So, okay. So yeah, they have, so we have many questions. So we'd love to get your insight about guidance.
If you go to just Google AMJA, AMJA, AMJA Islamic Mortgage Companies, you read a very detailed declaration by our organization. And by the way, I'm a member of the Fatwa Committee in AMJA. I'm one of those people who have read those contracts for Devon Bank and University Islamic Financial and La Riba and Ijara Loan and Guidance Residential, word by word, sentence by sentence. So I know what I'm talking about. When it comes to guidance residential in particular, the reason behind having it in a category that's higher than Universal Islamic Financial and Devon Bank is the fact that they operate in the USA as an investment company, not as a mortgage company. They are not a bank, they are not a mortgage company. So by the law of the land, by the mortgage code, they do have the right to own a property. And that's why they create an LLC for each and every single transaction that they sign with their customers. What kind of difference this makes? Well, legal ownership is the very fundamental issue. You have to own before you sell, like to make it halal, murabaha. You have to own before you lease to own, which is the ijara one. You have to own jointly before you sell it, musharaka. Do they own the property? The answer is yes. They created that LLC, which is a very small derivative of the parent company, for liability separation purposes. They do not want to put like the whole name of guidance residential there. That's why they create an LLC. If you are a guidance residential customer, you see that you have to pay $18 or $20 a month LLC fees, right? That ownership actually gives them a lot of credit, right? And by the way, in the first few years, okay, of their operation in the US, they used to be completely independent. No Freddie Mac, no Freddie Mae, no secondary market. And then they filed a case, like a lawsuit against Freddie Mac, and they won the case in the court system. And that's why they enforced Freddie Mac to finance for them, right? So the legal ownership is there. Do they comply with the requirements of the musharaka, the client partnership? The answer is no. Maintenance, tax, insurance is your responsibility. They guarantee their principal. If you decide to terminate the agreement, they go after you and they ask you to pay them back the principal that they paid for that transaction. For years and years, MJ used to believe that this is a very invalid one because of guaranteeing the principal, ضمان رأس المال, because of like lacking responsibility or financial commitment to maintenance, tax, and insurance. Long story short, we had a conversation with Justice Taqi Uthmani, the well-known Hanafi Pakistani scholar who, mashallah, still alive, one of the top authorities worldwide. I have benefited a lot from his books and his research papers. Jazakallah khair. He said that in the Hanafi school of thought, they do differentiate between sharikatul milk and sharikatul aqd, the contractual partnership as opposed to the acquisition partnership. Okay, contractual partnership, none of the partners does have the right to secure or to guarantee his principal. But if it is sharikatul milk, acquisition partnership, any of the partners can ask other partners to guarantee his principal. He said, well, our model at Guidance Residential is based on sharikatul milk, and that's why they can secure or they can guarantee their principal. Until today, في النفس منها شيء. يعني I'm not that comfortable with this justification. But MJ as an organization is not that like rigid and like people that go with the book. No, we are very practical, very open-minded, very reasonable in our approach. If we are to say that guidance residential is haram, then by default, Devon Bank and Universal Islamic Financial should be haram because they operate as banks. They cannot even own the property. And this actually will push our community to go to the regular market and just to mortgage their homes, in a very traditional way. So that's why we said, well, since someone as high caliber as Taqi Uthmani believes that Sharikatul Milk applies here, well, we'll take his statement. So out of respect and appreciation, we adopted what Justice Taqi Uthmani mentioned, and we said, well, since there is an ownership, and this is Sharikatul Milk. And by the way, in the contract itself, if you read it thoroughly, in case of eminent domain, like if the state took over the property, right, and there was no sufficient compensation, they share the risk with you, like they pay or they lose proportionally. In case of natural disaster, something happened and the insurance did not cover, they actually share the risk and the loss with you. So it's not like risk-free, and it's not 100% risk taken, but it's something in between. And that's why we said that in case of need, if someone is in need to purchase a house, which is the case, everybody actually needs to own a house, then you can, you can finance with guidance residential. It's not ideal. It's not perfect, but it is, as I always say, halal enough, right? And this is actually what we have in the real life. I did establish a new company. It's not a company, it's a platform. It's a marketplace, right? It's a blockchain-based marketplace called Edifice X. Maybe you can Google it. Edifice X artificial intelligence. This is just a platform like Amazon for home buyers, home sellers, and for investors. So we tokenize the houses and we sell those tokens to investors. Okay, it's based on declining partnership, but this time it's 100% Sharia compliant. I'm the one who set the whole system from A to Z, the smart contract that identifies the duties and the rules and the responsibilities of every single token holder. Okay, we have an interface software that if you purchase a token, it shows you exactly how much duties, financial duties are required, like how much you have to pay maintenance and tax and insurance. If you want to sell that token online, it's a blockchain based one. If you want to sell it, okay, how much the new buyer will be incurring responsibilities. It's not functional yet, but inshallah, yani within the next few months, it will be up and running. It's called edificex.ai, edificex.artificial intelligence. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy and this company or this platform, this marketplace goes well, it will add more Sharia compliant, I would say ideal solution for the mortgage issues in the USA.
So I think there was a follow-up question related to that is, so if that's the ruling on guidance, any suggestions on better alternatives in the US, something better than guidance? If somebody want to go beyond
owner finance, if you can prove that the finance department is owned 100% by the home builder. This is actually way better than more Sharia compliant than guidance residential. But if not, to be practical, guidance residential. Once Edifice X actually is up and running, then it's going to be the solution, inshallah. We have maybe sisters upstairs.
A follow-up about the guidance contracts, Yani. One question I had is about how they're financing it, because it seems like what they do is you go ahead, you want to buy this house, they create an LLC, they take it on, they say, we own the house now, and we're going to do a musharaka. And everybody focuses on the contract with this musharaka, and sure, it's fine even if it's 100% Sharia compliant, but it certainly feels like you're hiring guidance to create an LLC to take a haram loan unless they do have the capital for it, which apparently they don't. Either they're doing fractional reserve banking or they're just going to Freddie Mac.
Where's the haram is coming from? Where's the haram is coming from? If you agree with me that you own 5% and they purchase 95% of the house and they sell that 95% equity to Mr. Freddie Mac or Freddie May, where is the haram here?
How did they get that capital to buy that? That's what I'm trying to get at. If they're not putting up the money to do it, and all they're doing is selling the service of creating...
Are we responsible for their source of funding?
Typically, no. However, their whole model is to have this model of being able to create an LLC to take...
Prophet has dealt with the Jewish community in Medina, trading, buying and selling. It was never ever reported. Prophet stopped in a transaction to verify the source of funding of the other party. Is your money riba or haram or halal? So you are not responsible for the source of funding of the other party. This is one thing. Other thing, as I said in the beginning, guidance residential keeps operating. By the way, I'm not a double agent. I don't work for guidance residential. I work for guidance college. We are completely different organizations, right? So they have been operating independently from the secondary market for years and years. Third of all, they own 95%, of the house. They sell their share or their equity to a third party. There's nothing wrong with that. If I'm to finance a house for you, with the same terms, you purchase 5%, I purchase 95%, and the next day in the morning, I took that deed of trust and I have sold it to Dr. Ahmed Sulaiman. What's wrong with that?
I understand what you're saying. We shouldn't verify if me and Brother Ahmed are going to open a business, I don't need to ask him how he made his money. But this is not the same as what guidance is doing. Their business is loaning the money, essentially. They're not in the business of buying and selling homes. They're in the business of mortgaging homes. So the way that they get their capital, I think, is relevant. It's different than me and Brother Ahmed opening a business.
I disagree. And I cannot go further. I mean, this is all what I know about this company. تفضل.
Sheikh, can I ask a question on the same topic?
Again,
What I
guidance
understand.
residential?
I'm sorry. No, yeah, I hope I'll make it easy, inshallah. What I understand, when guidance sells the contract, that portion, let's say Freddie Mac bought it, or some other US bank, or some other bank bought it. The other bank honors the contract that you signed with guidance. The bank does not impose an example. If I go buy mortgage from US bank or some other bank, they have their own contract, interest base. What I understand is that when guidance sells their portion to Freddie Mac to fund more, as the brother was saying, they honor the contract that you and I signed with guidance, which is LLC. The guidance owned the property. That's my understanding. I just wanted to. Long time ago, Jazakallah khairan, I want to make one more comment for explaining all this. I didn't understand. Long time ago, when I bought my first home, a local agent, white lawyer, he almost stopped my purchase because I got the lawyer from my broker. He said, "What are you doing? This is not your home. You are buying a home, but actually that company owns the home." And Jazakallah khair, today you just explained LLC, the ownership. Guidance bought the home, and then they get me a different contract.
So can we, Jazakallah, can
Oh,
we
so
just
Jazakallah.
like talk about something else? I mean, just
Very relevant.
14 is the still the same? No. Unfortunately, no, because actually all these companies are still practicing the same issue. The only update here is that Universal Islamic Financial created what's called, or they came up with what's called declining partnership. And it's not mentioned, it's not listed in AMJA Declaration 2024. AMJA as a body did not discuss it, did not decide anything. On a personal level, give me just a second. Yeah, let me just connect it to my hotspot. One second. On a personal level, I disapprove their musharaka. It's not AMJA. One second. It's not AMJA. This is not like my personal position, because they came up with with an idea, call it al-wakala sirriya, like the secret proxy. They ask the customer to sign an agreement that you represent us in purchasing the property. So their name is not mentioned anytime, anywhere, right? No maintenance, no tax, no insurance, no name mentioned, okay? No appreciation, no depreciation, nothing whatsoever. And they still call it musharak. On my personal capacity, I completely disapprove this model. AMJA is now working diligently and studying the Islamic mortgage companies in Canada. And I'm one of those researchers who are working on this project. There will be two new products. AMJA did not decide anything. One of them is called Mubarak Mortgage in California, in Orange County. They have their own Murabaha one, okay? And Andres Kogan Bank in the state of Maine. They are working with me and with Sheikh Salah Hassan and with others in developing their own Islamic mortgage option. But it's not AMJA certified yet. We're still putting the pieces together. But to answer the question, nothing new. Everything's still the same.
So separate question on the mortgage. So for guidance or similar companies, the amount they charge you as part of the LLC that you're leasing, let's say your share of the house, you own 20% and you're leasing 80%. The amount they charge you is very strongly tied to the market value for interest rates, which is tied to what the Federal
That's
Reserve
one of the deficiencies that they
sets.
have. I agree with you.
It has nothing to do with the market value for if you were to rent that house or to rent your share in that house. So
They
how
should do
that-
like periodical appraisal to update the rental value and the market value. They
and
do
you
not.
can refinance if the rates
They
go
do
down.
not.
Even the
I
rents
cannot
go
agree
up,
more.
but you
It's not ideal option. It's a reasonable one. It's halal enough one. It's not an explicit riba. And if you read Amjad Declaration, we said that in case of need, right? And okay, now on top of that, by the way, there is a verbal agreement within the Fatwa Committee. It's not written that you can finance with guidance residential for investment purposes, not only for residential. So you purchase the first house to live in, you can purchase the second house for investment, like if you want to use it as a rental property, like for more like aside money generating business, you can purchase with guidance residential. No. What's that? Our conclusion after 10 years is that in the same way, having like residence, primary residence is a need, having an opportunity for halal investment is another need, because the options that we have for investment are very limited. So one of them actually is to purchase a house with guidance residential and just rent it. Again, if you just wait for a few months, inshallah, you will see Edifice X is very functional, inshallah, and providing a genuine solution for mortgage, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, Maulana. So inshallah, follow up on
Can
guidance.
mortgage company make you sign a contract before they own the house? Like you go to the mortgage company and tell them, I want to buy this house. And then they start the process of owning the house. But before they pay the money for the house, are they allowed to make you sign a contract that after they own the house, you do the mortgage?
Well, you go akhi, simultaneously, like you purchase the house from the landlord and you take that quote unquote Islamic loan from guidance residential. So they do not jump into that partnership until you make the down payment or the earnest money to the landlord. So once you get involved and they're 100% positive that you are serious, you want to proceed, they just get on board and do the musharaka with you. Can we talk about something else other than
Yes,
guidance?
that's what I'm going to do right now, inshallah. No more questions about guidance residential. So, talking about investments, right? And the options that Muslims have in the US too for investment. So,
Did you turn the AC off maybe, right? Is the AC off? It's okay, I can just... خلاص, it's okay.
So we have some budget cuts. We're doing some budget cuts, inshallah. So so we have some questions about investment, especially related to stocks. And I think we all try to use some screener for what are the kind of halal stocks that we can invest in and the mutual funds and exchange rate funds. But some questions that arise about the stocks are the following. What if can somebody work in a company that its stock is not halal to purchase and sell? Is it okay or not?
Well, the stock actually is a kind of unidentified share in that company. So if the core business of the company, the main business of that company is a halal one, okay, there is a high possibility that their stock is a halal one. Why I'm saying high possibility? Because sometimes, because of the high debt asset ratio or high capital ratio, because of the interest-bearing investment, because of the interest income generated, because of the product line, that stock belongs to halal company, might not be a halal one. I'll give you an example. What do you think about Apple? Apple actually is a computer company, software and hardware. Is that correct? Do you know that Apple does have its own credit card company? They have their own TV channel. I mean, this is a side business. How much profit and riba and interest they make from the credit card company, we do not know. What kind of shows and TV, like, you know, programs they offer in the TV channel, are they halal or haram? We do not know. How much profit they make from that aside business, okay, we do not know. So some like thorough investigation has to be done to determine the Sharia compliance status of those stocks. Go to Zaki Financial, Z-A-K-I, ZakiFinancial.com. You will see my name as the Sharia consultant of that company. They do actually a very good service. You can run your portfolio, like if you have 401k or 403b or pension plan, you can run it by them, and they give you like a professional opinion. They screen that portfolio until you listen. You have 75% stocks, you have 20 like 10% bonds or whatever, and they give you an advice on how to make your portfolio as Sharia compliant as possible. Go to Atina, AATINAA.co. Why not .com? I don't know. What happened with the M? I don't know. It's the Atina.co.
Send it to the group. You have the same link.
Okay. Again, I'm the Sharia consultant of that company, Atina. They have a very good service. You can just enter the code of the stock that you are interested in, and the system will generate a report for you. It will show you directly, right? Just one click away. It shows you the debt asset ratio or debt capital ratio, like how much debt involved in that stock. Okay. The interest bearing investment, how much CDs and saving accounts that they have, and the interest income. And they added something new, right? Which is the product line. Although I'm the Sharia consultant of that company, I told them several times, you don't need to add the product line. If the debt asset ratio is less than 30%, if the interest bearing investment is less than 30%, if the interest income is less than 5%, it should be good to go, right? They said, no, we want to add the product line. My advice, if you enter like a stock code, let's say Walmart, Walgreens, whatever, if it passes the first, the second, and the third, and failed the fourth one, go for it. Do not worry. It is a Sharia compliant one. Even if the product line failed, go for it. I mean, do not worry, because those three are agreed upon, like between Amjad, between IOFI, between other organizations. That fourth one makes this company very, very conservative when it comes to investment. Okay. As a Sharia consultant, they show me like a data of maybe 12,000 different financial instruments available in the stock market in the USA. Because of the formula that we put together, okay, they go down from 12,000 to only 800 or even 1,000 Sharia compliant stocks, and the rest of them actually are, you know, not to be considered. So they are extremely conservative, and that's why I'm saying if the debt asset ratio, the interest bearing investment, and the interest income pass the three and fail the fourth one, which is the product line, just ignore it, and you can take that stock.
And I think there are other screeners also around, which I think they're using the AAOIFI criteria, right? This is the most used one.
Well, here is the issue, حبيبنا. كل يدعي وصلا بليلى.
نعم.
وليلى لا تقر لهم بذاك. Everybody claims to be Sharia compliant. Okay, you go to any of those Muslim-owned mutual fund companies between Azad and Amana, the Saturn one, Amana, Sharia Portfolio, Zaki Financial, and so forth. Okay, most of those companies, most of them do not have an active Sharia advisory and supervisory board. Okay, so if you want to put your money and open an account, make sure that there is a third party, independent third party, actually does supervise and does investigate. Okay, the overall performance of the company to make sure it is a Sharia compliant one.
So I think related to that question, also a question that came is, using some of these screeners that basically try to track the halal status of the stocks, and assuming you buy some stocks into a company when it was halal to trade in, Sharia compliant, and then because of the change in the debt ratio and the interest rate or whatnot over time, it all of a sudden turns to become non-Sharia compliant. Now, as a holder of these stocks, what should I do when it turns non-Sharia compliant?
I don't think, Akhi, that you are the one who's supposed to run that investment. I mean, you assign someone to do the business on your behalf. So if you do have a 401k, if you have it with Schwab or with Vanguard or with fidelity. They should actually have some of the custodians Sharia compliant, right? So they should actually allow you to roll over your account with a Zad or with Amana. If you trust a Zad or Amana, you just roll over and make sure that Amana is the one or a Zad fund is the one who is running your, and they can take care of the business from A to Z.
But I think
So it's not your job like to investigate and I mean
Yeah.
this is the job of the certified financial advisors. Muslims know very well what's
Yeah,
haram.
of
You
course.
as an investor, you just open an account with them and you delegate the job to them. I mean, they take care of it.
Indeed. I think what the brothers were asking about is there are some screeners that people use if they want to do some investment on their own, like Musaffa or Muslim Exchange or Zoya. And these track the stocks every 3 months. So the question was, if they're using one of these and they trust the ijtihad of the scholars or behind it, or whoever is running it, and then the status of a stock using one of these screeners goes from halal to haram, or from Sharia compliant to Sharia non-compliant. As a person who's holding this stock and they're doing their own individual investment, how should they react?
Well, if you trust that advisor, and he or she does have the authority of just rectifying, modifying, making sure that your investment is a Sharia compliant, you should do nothing, because the part of their job is to do what is called the purification process. Like whatever is proven to be haram, they just dispose it on your behalf. So you should be good. They do the job like from A to Z. Even if you want them to pay the zakat on the stocks, they will do it for you. Yeah.
Allah khair. Huh? So I think Sheikh, the question is more about individual, like
Who handles the investment? Do you do
myself.
it by yourself?
Yeah, we are by ourselves. Like we're handling the investment. Like some people like
What kind of platform? What kind of account you have? Is it simple investment account? Is it brokerage account? Is
I think some people E-Trade, Schwab, things like that. And then we all, many of us have some of these screeners like Zoya or Muslim Exchange or Musaffa. And people are doing investments on their own completely. And they say, okay, Apple looks Sharia compliant today. I'm going to buy $1,000 worth of stocks. And then 6 months later, whatever screener we're using, it shows now it's becoming Sharia non-compliant. Now, what should we do?
My advice, Habibina, is to subscribe with Atiana.co. They have a very good service. If you pay them $20, $25 a month or whatever, they keep sending you notifications. We sold such and such. We bought such and such. Just send you a text message or email, and it's absolutely up to you. You want to follow their advice, you buy whatever they bought, you sell whatever they sold, right? They do it based on their own criteria. Now, if you do not want to subscribe with them and you trust like you said Zoya, or Wahid or whatever,
Zoya or Musaffa, I think.
I mean, if you trust them, if you know very well who is behind that company, what kind of qualification he or she has, and you trust them, just follow their direction. As simple as that. No.
Yes. So I think there is a question here from a brother or sister saying, is using a credit card halal if it is paid on time or linked to checking account for withdrawal? I recognize its contract is haram, but it is helpful to avoid financial theft and potential cashback, and has potential benefits like the cashback. So is it okay to use a credit card?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
الحرام لغيره تبيحه الحاجة. Whatever is prohibited because of its potential consequences would be permitted in case of need, right? If I'm living now in Pakistan or in Saudi Arabia or in Jordan or Algeria or in Egypt, I don't need to use a credit card. I mean, the system there, like the monetary system, is still very simple. Like people hold cash and they, trade, buy and sell using cash. It's not the case here in this country, right? Some point of sale do not accept cash money, not accept debit card, not even a personal check. It has to be a credit card. In order for you to build your own credit history, right? Credit scores, you have to use a credit card. So there is a legitimate prevailing need for using credit card, and that's plus riba is avoidable, and that's why you can use it because of the haja, number one, and riba is avoidable. وَالْحَرَامُ لِغَيْرِهِ تُبِيحُ الْحَاجَة, and the haja is there. Maybe my need is different than his need or her need, but overall speaking, is there a need for us Muslims in this society to use a credit card? The answer is yes. Well, go for it.
Yes,
A
Jazakallah.
related
So,
question.
another.
Related question. So if you have electricity bill, for example, and they give you two options to pay either by credit card and they charge you $5 because you use the credit card.
Are you the merchant?
The other option is pay by.
Are you the
electronic-
merchant?
Excuse me.
Are you the merchant? Are you the merchant who is charging?
No, they.
Or you are the customer?
The merchant charge.
You can do that. You can do that because actually the merchant knows akhi, that if you are to pay him $100 through credit card, he's going to receive 97. So he tells you from like from day one, if you want to pay me cash, it's going to be 100 cash. If you want to use a credit card, it's going to be 103 because I will be paying, okay, or $3 will be deducted from me. That would be fine as long as he's transparent with you from the beginning, giving you different options. Go for it, whatever is convenient for you. There is no haram here, there is no riba here, because there is no loan to start with, right? You are paying a price for a commodity that you purchased, right? And he knows how much you will be receiving based on his knowledge of the market and the options. He tells you cash 100, credit card 103. Nothing wrong with that. No.
So the next question is: brother or sister is asking, do I have to pay zakah for a house that I bought and rent it out? What if there are more than one house that I fully own and rent them out as a business?
Rental properties, you pay zakah on the lease revenue, not on the market value of the house. If you live in that house, it is zakah exempt. If it is a rental property, you pay zakah on the lease revenue, on the net amount that you still have in the zakah due date. If it is like investment, you purchase house, for sale, then you find out the market value of the house and you pay zakah.
Okay. So the next question is it halal to work for places like Walmart and Costco, even if they sell things like pork and alcohol that is part of their profits? Would it be okay to, that's the first part. The second part is, would it be okay to work for a company like DoorDash when people order food that has pork or non-halal things like this? And the third question is it halal to work for a bank? So Walmart and Costco, DoorDash, and then working for a bank.
Well, working for conventional bank is no, absolutely no. It's not an option. Now, working for companies who do like their core business is a halal one, but they might offer something haram, like Walmart. It's just a retail store. It has like tens of thousands of items. One department is called the liquor department, or like has some pork product, but the rest of the products are halal. So if you can work for a department that's away from the liquor one and the pork one, go for it, right? Can you work as a cashier? Okay, and you have to check out everything. Well, if this is the only option that you have, go for it. Okay. The fact that they offer like maybe 5, 6, 7, 10% haram product doesn't make the whole business haram. It's still halal one. Halalun shabahu haram, right? DoorDash, Uber Eat is a transportation service. Okay. Uber in general, you take like customers to the masjid, you take customers, after like midnight to a haram place. You are not responsible to investigate and to ask people, are you going to a halal place or a haram one? You are not. You just provide transportation service and you charge for it. You should be fine.
So the next question is, how do you calculate zakah on the 401k?
You go with the accessible or with the withdrawable amount. Okay, you have like $100,000 straight worth of investment in your 401k. Okay, if you apply for hardship or humanitarian case with Fidelity, let's say that they give you access to 50% of your account, then the withdrawable amount is how much? 50,000. If you want to proceed, right, you will not be taking home 50,000. You will be penalized. They're gonna charge you, like you have to pay tax and penalty and processing fees. Do the math. Okay, deduct all these different deductions, and the rest, like the net amount, is the zakatable one based on 2.5% zakat rate. And you do the same exercise, the same math every single year.
Okay. So the question is, ال 401k في stocks هيبقى زكاة الستوكس لو ال 401k is invested in stocks or exchange rate funds. What would be the zakat calculation method there?
2.5% on the net amount, on the take-home amount. After doing all the deductions, putting aside all the deductions, the net amount, the take-home amount. By the way, you don't have to physically withdraw the money. Just like very hypothetical, math, to find out how much zakat you have to pay. What if you decide to withdraw as much as you can, 50%? What if you decide to proceed? How much you will be charged? Tax, penalty, processing fees, right? Do the math, deduct everything, and the net amount is the zakatable loan based on 2.5% zakat rate.
I think, Sheikh, the question was related to what if I have $10,000 in 401k, they exist today as cash, versus I have $10,000 worth of Apple stock. Would the zakat calculation method be the same on cash versus stock? And to clarify, we've heard like fatwa and we've read some scholars.
Cash in 401k?
Cash in 401k is 2.5. I mean, after you do the deductions, that's clear, inshallah. But I think like the question is related to zakat on stocks, whether it is an investment that you keep on the side or whether you're putting it in 401k.
No, hold on. There's a difference. If the stocks are outside your retirement account, they are accessible in full. If you have a mutual fund account,
right,
simple investment account, brokerage account, or whatever.
Yes.
It is AGMA account for your kids, for example, 529, although it's not a 100% halal option. All these IRA, here you go, individual retirement account. All these accounts are accessible in full, right? So they are 100% accessible. If you decide to withdraw all what you have in your IRA, Roth or just regular one, how much tax you have to pay, how much penalty you have to pay. Do the math. Net amount actually is zakatable. So the formula itself is still the same. You go with the accessible or withdrawable about minus any prescribed penalty or tax or whatever. But in the 401k, it's not accessible in full. Correct. Outside your retirement account, it is accessible in full.
Correct. So I think the piece, the part that we're asking about is, we've heard that when you are owning, which is another question, when you're owning stocks for long-term investments, what we have read is you don't actually pay zakat on its full market value on the al-hawl, when the 1 year has passed.
Okay.
But you pay like for about 25% or 30%.
If you hold those stocks as exploited assets, you are not active trader. Okay, you do not speculate and buy and sell on a regular basis. You do not like keep watching the Yahoo finance and you feel your blood pressure going up and down with that index. You're just happy with the dividend that you generate. If that is the case, you pay zakat on the dividend only. Because stocks in this case are exploited assets, are equivalent to having a taxi cab, okay, where you pay zakat on the money. To have a rental property where you pay zakat on the lease revenue. Having stocks not for sale makes those stocks zakat exempt, but you need to pay zakat on the dividend, on the profit that you make. If you are actively trading in the stock market, then you pay zakat on everything, on the market value of the stocks plus the dividend that you make. And by the way, it doesn't make a difference, even if that dividend is like capitalized, like you put it back or you withdraw it, you still actually have to pay zakat. Which country you refer to? No, my jurisdiction is USA, so I do not give fatwa. Okay, I'm not giving you a fatwa for you in particular. I'm saying in general, if that investment is not accessible, you know what? Even if you are in the USA and you have a pension plan, you work for the federal government or for the state or for the county, they do not give you 401k, they don't give you 403b, they give you pension plan. Pension plan is completely locked, like meth. I mean, you do not know what's going on. If it is not accessible whatsoever, you don't have to pay zakat. Sounds good? And you can apply the same concept like, to your own investment overseas.
2 more questions.
طيب, can we take maybe 1 or 2 minutes break for those who want to pay their pledge before they leave? And then we'll continue, inshallah. If someone wants to leave and wants to make a donation or a pledge, give him just 1 or 2 minutes, inshallah, and then we'll resume. I'm going nowhere. I mean, I'm sitting here until you finish your questions. Allah يجزيك خير. Give me just 1 second. Let me